Hey everyone, and welcome to another adventure of Pop Culture Bible. Today we're going to be reviewing the Mel Gibson film Hacksaw Ridge, which I consider a Christian film because it's just a really exceptional film as that one. So Mel Gibson he directed Passion of Christ, he directed Braveheart, he directed Apocalypto, and this is kind of his comeback directorial debut after many years. He's been away. He has he had some personal issues that were more front and center in the news than his acting and drama. And in this movie, it's basically the story of Desmond Doss, who is a conscientious objector in World War II. He's played by Andrew Garfield. And the movie stars Andrew Garfield. It stars Hugo Weaving is his father. It stars Vince Vaughn as one of the soldiers in the captains in the army, and it stars as well Sam Worthington as another soldier in the army. Those are the recognizable names that I recognized, and there's probably a few others. And this movie starts out with him as a kid, and shows him as a kid, and he's getting into a fight with his brother, and he's whatever for a fight that normal kids would probably get into. It's not like, I don't think they hate each other. I think that they're fighting because they're kids. And the father's kind of an alcoholic, been traumatized by World War One. Hugo Weaving does an amazing job in this movie. Fully dimensional character. He's an alcoholic. He's abusive, but he's also a loving father, and he's also a war veteran and traumatized by war. And so, while these kids are fighting, he hits his brother with a brick, almost kills his brother, and realizes that's kind of like Cain and Abel in the Bible. They actually show him looking at a picture of that, as well as a picture of the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill. And that's when he decides, I never want to do this. And then, as he gets older, you see that he also had a dream that at one point in the movie, it's kind of revealed more later, but that's okay, is that his father had been abusing his mom, and he actually had taken his father's gun and was ready to kill his father, but he didn't, out of mercy and out of the fact that his values. But he chose to. But the interesting part of this is that the father and the son are continuing in this relationship, even though the father's been abusive. So I think that's a very powerful story in that sense, and that the family's trying to work out those problems. And when Desmond gets to be this age where he's now played by Andrew Garfield, even though it's established that this father has been abusive to the point where someone else pulled a gun on him, they're trying to work things out. They're trying to be a family. Andrew Garfield decides that he's going to go to war. His dad doesn't approve, but it's because of the fact that it's emotionally traumatizing to him. He's like, I want one of my sons to be lost in war. And you kind of feel for him, even though he's, in the past, been really bad. And you can understand kind of this guy's broken point of view. So Andrew Garfield goes into training, and Vince Vaughn does the training, and he gets the crap beat out of him, and he gets made fun of and everything. There's some great humor in terms of introducing some of the other soldiers in a funny way, which I won't spoil. You can go see that yourself. And what ends up happening is that he almost gets court-martialed for not holding a gun. And so it's actually in an interesting parallel to, I think, what a lot of Christian theology would understand, is you have Desmond on trial for court-martial for disobeying a direct order, and it's his dad who actually, the one he had mercy on, who had abused his mom, it's his dad who stands up for him, and basically, because he's a war veteran, goes to someone who's higher in authority and roots for his son and says, I've got this letter here which says that if you go as far as Washington D.C., his constitutional right is that he is a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and you got to respect his religion despite the fact that you want him to hold a gun. He doesn't have to by law. So in other words, he gets out of it through a legal loophole, and he ends up going to war. And again, the soldiers don't trust him. They all think that this guy is like, I guess they think he's like maybe a self-righteous Christian, or he's a coward for not wanting to hold a gun. Maybe he's a coward. Maybe he's either a coward or a self-righteous Christian. Are kind of the two views that they kind of think, and they just anything else is like, who is this kid? And it ends up being Andrew Garfield, who of course is the hero, and as the true story is that through the course of the film, in the second half, it becomes more of a war story. He actually saves over 75 people. And the film is done in a way where it doesn't have just one long stretch of war. You have several different scenes all connected together in a very well cinematographed way of bringing these scenes together and bringing the story together. Also, in the beginning of the story, in the first hour, there's kind of a love interest in terms of Desmond falling in love and playfully falling in love with a nurse that's a nurse that he donates blood to. And he ends up falling in love with and ends up marrying in the course of this film. So the first hour has a lot of romance in it as well. I would highly recommend this film. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for sure. It's also less than 2.5 hours, so it's about 2:11, I think. And so it feels really like a good length of time. Like it's not really a heavy-handed 3.5 hour, like, oh my god, I can't handle the war anymore. Because of that fact, you're left with a lot of hope. Like, you're left with the fact that Desmond does live in the movie. It's not a spoiler. I mean, that's part of the history of the character. And then the ending of the story actually, this kind of review is full of spoilers, but the ending of the movie actually shows an interview with the real Desmond, as well as a couple people who lived. And it's a really inspirational, really hope-giving movie, and that I don't think it even says that the soldiers were wrong to hold guns and go out in World War II and all that. It says that this guy stuck by his values and he saved 75 people without a gun, and that's what's so heroic about it. And the fact of the matter is, I think it's an important film because in terms of this age of political correctness and a lot of other Christian films, which are kind of have this persecution complex, this is a real film that deals with those issues in a really masterful way, I think. And it shows how two people work together, as opposed to some of the other Christian films where it's almost like Christian good guy, non-Christian bad guy. This shows that these two people working together with their different ideologies. And I just thought that this is a powerful film where, again, Hugo Weaving, I think that he could get a Best Supporting Actor, not even just nomination, but an award. I really hope he does. And I really recommend this film and theater experience. If this is not something you would go to the theater for, definitely catch it on Blu-ray or DVD. 9 out of 10 for the acting, 9 out of 10 for inspiration. Great Christian message all throughout. Desmond is portrayed as someone who reads his Bible and prays and has a faith in God that's unwavering. He stands by his convictions, even though theologically you or another person may not agree with where he stands in terms of the gun violence thing. And I think that it ends up being just an emotionally moving, heroic story. Go see it. Enough said.